Was the smartest criminal you've ever encountered. This one guy had a lengthy record. He had a system for getting the police that he got caught to after committing a crime. His crime was solved. He knew he was about to be ordered. It was insane. His girl would play along with it, telling the police that he was off his meds. The police would arrest him, but then send him to a mental ward, with papers instructing his ward to release to police custody once he was cleared. Once he was in the mental ward, it caused a distraction to make the person attending the desk leave said cabinets. He'd then crawl to the file cabinets, look for his release to custody papers, his numbers, and the side citations. Police then tell instructions to send the release instead. It's about times that the cops are just back in the streets. Most of the states have changed their procedures with the paper suspects.
Yeah. Why would you be sorry for that? No. No. No.
I'm not a cop, but I worked crime scenes. This guy had attached a GPS to the bottom of people's cars who owned houses that he wanted to rob. He did it to ensure they wouldn't be showing up while he was ransacking the place. I heard about one person that pulled a shoplifting scam on a large, popular, and well-known US retail store. They walked in with some cheap nylon products to get one of those "I walked in with this" stickers that they used on returning merchandise. That sticker easily peeled off the product undamaged. They walked to the electronics department, grabbed an expensive box off the shelf, and went to customer service. They placed the sticker on the big box and asked if they could return the item without a receipt. Unfortunately, no, not without the original receipt. Ah, dang it, and they walked out. Customer service even gave the doorman the thumbs up, having just interacted with the customer. This took place before widespread inventory controls and cameras absolutely everywhere. The guy I went to high school with had been stealing from Walmart in a pretty clever way. He'd grab video games, MP3s, beers and stuff, and throw them away in a trash can in the garden section. The workers never checked the trash contents, and he'd just wait. Sometimes 5 hours until they emptied the trash in the back dumpster, and then he'd hop on in to get his items. Once he took a cardboard box from a display inside, filled it with video games, a PS3 and extra controllers. He grabbed some tape and pens and drew all over the box, and taped it up to make it look used, and tossed it. An hour later, he had a whole new PS3 and a stack of games. My goodness. I should state that people should not be looking at this video as a means of inspiration for ways to do this sort of thing in real life. It's entirely possible that a lot of stores have countermeasures in place to stop things like this, and the risk of getting caught is not worth it. This was in the late 90s and early noughties. A guy in my dorm came to school solely to deal substances. He took out student loans, registered for a bunch of 300-person freshman survey courses where he had never been missed, and then literally never went to class. All he did was go to raves and concerts and keggers and sell stuff at parties. After the first semester, he was suspended. He He wrote the usual, "I was young and dumb and in over my head" sob story and got put on probation for 1 semester. So he had a repeat of that in the fall. At the end of the year, he was kicked out, but he didn't care. It made something in the order of 150 grand in return for about 8 grand in student loans to cover a year of housing and tuition. So as far as I know, he was never caught. It might have been a short-sighted maneuver in the long run, but in the short run, it seemed fairly genius to effectively use federal loans to start your substance empire. Working in a home improvement store when I was younger, this guy came in, went to the snowblowers, took one and went to the return desk. Said he wanted to return it, but had no receipt. They told him, "You need a receipt," so he says, "Okay, I'll be back." And he wheels it off to the car through the front door. He did this a few times, apparently. A couple of places even helped him load it back into his car. I had a guy try that with the big expensive bedding sets at Sears 20 years ago. He came up the escalator empty-handed, walked into the first aisle, and came out carrying the set. He said he wanted to return it. I said he needed a receipt, and when he asked why, I explained. Well, sometimes we have issues with people coming up here, taking stuff off the shelves and trying to return it. He looked a bit squirrely, then kind of looked around, panicked, and left with it. On the way to the door, security started following him, so he threw it at them and sprinted out the door. I'm going to be frank with you, most criminals are really stupid, so maybe this guy isn't a criminal mastermind, but here goes. He wanted to rob a jeweler's on our city's main street. He found out the flat beside the jeweler's was empty, and he hid there. For 2 weeks, he triggered the alarm on purpose several times a night, causing a massive headache for the police and the business. We turned up to see there was nothing there, nothing on the cameras, and we thought it was just a fluke, so that the jewelers turned off the alarm system and said they'd wait until the morning to get a new one installed, or that one was why, because clearly something wasn't right. As he turned back his head, progress here apparently. Like a strong place taking the street. Escaped their windows, and stayed there. Also then tried to themselves a stone with a serial number on it, and he got caught. So not that sort of There's a golf course and country club in my town that has a PGA tournament scheduled in the next couple of years. They have a guy repeatedly breaking in over, just lounging around and eating food, all on camera. The club refuses to report it, so they don't hurt their chances of the tournament coming. I worked in a jail. After getting off work, I watched an ex-inmate who was homeless being released. He walked over to the patrol car, looked me in the eye, and elbowed the window in. He was walked back to the entrance and looked in. It was middle of January. I guess he didn't want to get too cold. French thief who spent 10 years in prison became a comedian who went. His stories was finding a building, going in, choosing a floor, and transforming the exit door into something that looked like a apartment. The apartment number, fake lock-in, the welcome rug, stuff like that. So if it for sale, the person comes to buy it. He opens the door in a shower robe and says, "Give me 1 second, I'm just going to count the money," and then poof, he's gone from the exit stairs. One guy would print barcodes, bring them into Home Depot, and stick them on merchandise in the $100 range. When he scanned the items, they came up at around the $10 range. Putting random barcodes on things isn't really illegal and super hard to notice. Guy number 2 would come in an hour later and buy the underpriced stuff. Complete plausible deniability. And then sell the stuff on eBay. The only reason they got caught was because the guy with the barcode printer and software got the second guy out of the operation. So guy 2 stole a bunch of barcodes, put them on the merchandise, and paid for it immediately afterwards. He then proceeded to rat on the first guy and spilled the beans because they'd been doing this on a weekly basis for over 4 years. Because we could only pin the one case on him, the burglary was dropped down to a petty theft, and he walked away with a few days in the county with a small fine. The guy probably took Home Depot for tens of thousands over the years. Definitely that guy in Ohio based the bank notes, which is important evidence. It's quite beneficial. earlier, you know how things are reversed down there. Red means go and green means stop. The cop actually let this man go with a warning. I did not know that. Well, in America, red means stop, so don't make this mistake again. Psychoses. And honestly, I think although the rest of the world's a little harsh on Americans, especially the ones in the Deep South, that cop wasn't doing that particular stereotype any favors either. Here's one. I knew this guy back in the early 80s. Let's call him Jim. Well, he really wanted this high-powered scene, but he knew he couldn't ever afford it. So what he did was take a drive to London and
Fuck mom, no hands. Fuck mom, no hands. Fuck mom, no hands. Fuck mom, fuck mom, fuck mom, fuck mom, no hands. Fuck mom, no hands. Fuck mom.
Burns it a bit. A few weeks pass and weeds have started growing over it. It's at that point that he calls the cops and reports that someone's dumped a wire frame in his garden. The cops show up and he explains that it just got back away and found it. They frame to note down his name and address. A few days later, the cops called him and said the bike had been stolen from London. Gets the freight back from them, takes it, and puts it all back together, and asking like Jim,
Are you gonna get me an arrow? Okay.
Sledgehammers. The alarms didn't go off until he exited down the main door, which the alarm company gets after a minute or two. And then it took the mystery of the minister called in to us, giving him a good 5-minute head start. So he was probably a few miles away before we got dispatched to us. And he clearly scoped out the area before doing this as well. Smart guy. I heard about this one guy who had cut the power to electrical stations. He had damaged the wiring and then hide, waiting for the cops to show up. Once the owners of the buildings came, he then shut off the unsafe wiring.
Tell him Dad. Tell him Dad.
Wiring to get the copper. I used to run bars at a number of venues around the north of England, one of which was Chester Racecourse.
Tell him Dad. 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 Tell him Dad.
Waistcoat and usually carrying a radio. Now, there were a dozen or so bars dotted
For the media.
Steadily from 11 till 8 or 9 in the evening. So every hour or so, the security would go round the bars in turn and take all of the high denomination notes from each till and stack them in the safe in the main building. So I'm stood there one day, pulling pints, doing the barman thing. The security blokes have been around a few times and it's getting steadily busier. Then one bloke showed up on his own, high-vis and radio in his hand, across the till. Usual receipt so he can balance up at the end of the meeting. A bit early, I think. But hey-ho, I've got plenty to do. Then, 10 minutes or so later, 2 more blokes show up dressed the same. Your mate's just been here, I said. No need to touch that just yet. What mate? We're the only 2 doing this duty today. Cue a rapid-fire and increasingly panicked exchange over the radio. The AC boy who'd done the till just before must have been someone who used to work there, so he knew the drill and had been watching the guards and just went to time it and what order they were going around the bars in. Apparently, he got through about 9 or 10 of them before he decided to not push his luck any further and just walked away with about 80 grand. He must have just taken off the high vis, dumped that and the radio, and now he's just one more guy in a suit in a crowd of thousands. They were a bit stricter on the procedure after that.
It's a bad choice. Running away is easy. It's losing the top. Running away is easy. It's still losing the top. I missed twice. That's insane. That's crazy, like Jack. That's insane. That's crazy. That's fucking crazy, Jack. That is so crazy, Jack. Do you even understand how fucking crazy that is? How crazy that is, Jack.
As my father used to say, you can't let the truth get in the way of a good story. There's a small tourist town where I grew up that's divided in half by a big river. The only way in between the two sides is over a long bridge, unless you go all the way around another mountain pass. These guys called in like 2 or 3 bomb threats to a posh hotel on one side of the bridge. I think they even left some dummy packages. All the police went across the bridge to do crowd control and stuff. Then the guys called in a bomb threat on the bridge and started robbing stuff on the other side. The police couldn't be positive that the bomb threat was real or not.
It's fucking insane.
Enough to give the thieves a head start. I am getting a bit of a laugh at the mental image of the town's police trying to commandeer one of the town's only rowboats and engage in a disorganized, messy scramble. That's the nail there. Then they'd have to pursue on foot, but a man could dream about these kind of scenarios. The story of the Mumbai Opera House jewelry heist probably belongs here. Sometime in 1987, a guy placed an ad in the newspaper looking for recruits to the CBI, the investigative police agency in India. A bunch of people showed up. He'd rented an office to interview them. He selected 26 of the candidates, told them to assemble the next day near a popular drink shop to practice a mock raid. He had a fake search warrant and everything. Then he led these guys to conduct a raid on the jewelry shop. Together, they collected all the jewelry there, took all the cash, and then he asked the trainees to keep a watch on the shop employees while he deposited the stuff. He then walked out and disappeared. It took half an hour for someone to suspect something wrong and call the actual police. They never caught the guy, never even found out who he was. The hair on that man, my goodness. This the smartest thing ever, but it was pretty clever and amusing. A while ago, there was a series of thefts along the bus lines in my country. People's things kept missing from one city to the next, and nobody had any idea what was happening, as things were presumably safe in the bottom of the bus, which hopefully gives someone the driver access to the inside. Apparently there was a small evidence of going in the suitcase, by a ticket somewhere, investigated. Went out, still used electronics, cameras and whatnot, and then returned his suitcase. I'm not really sure how they called them, but it was pretty interesting to read about. I found the whole thing. That's what such drinks search distract the police. Expected to show. I'm sure you can do comments. Officers and thousands. I noticed that the bank vault had put its safety deposit box in a way where there was a space between the viewpoint where Paul was going. So on Friday, and climbed in and hides in that spot. He'd actually rented out a box which he put in a clock, which alarmed violently to see if there were sound sensors in the vault. He waited outside, nothing. Employees closed the vault with him inside. He he has the whole weekend and gets to knocking the locks out with a hammer one at a time and stole everything. He then replaced the locks to look like they're not tampered with and jumped back into the spot. Monday morning, the vault was open. Turns out the bank's doing renovations. He fixed that day. Throws on a worker's jacket and literally walks out of the bank. Employees didn't notice till the first person who came to open his safety deposit box. The lock fell in. They couldn't identify who did it, and he would have got away with it, save for his big mouth. Turns out he was a hairdresser and kept telling his customers how he stole from the bank. He was a genius and they'd never catch him. Somebody snitched and he was picked up. Value of the stock in his safety deposits are unknown. Because of this guy, all banks now fill the space where the two safety cabinets meet. They made a movie, Inside Man, which is based on it. Today, was released his friend, and it's all down. Remember that trouble you don't need to worry about it. To arrogance, Ben went on to explain that he had been arrested for a minor offense. Receiving a using service for his sentence. He was a service job for the scene of his fire. So he gave the person out his wallet to his instruments. A few months later, Alan was stopped for traffic rules.
What the? Yeah, no. That stuff is cheating. That's just supposed to be cheating, chat. That is just not how this game works. My block is just not be working, chat.
Oh, when I asked for a glass of water, please. The restaurant, they found out and surprised me with a huge piece of cake. Then they added the cake to the receipt. Happy birthday! Here's your nut-free cake. As a server, I've done this once or twice, but luckily I caught it before. I have to ring it in for inventory reasons. You can't split it off the check on most serving OSs and on the top for the pizza. Don't always mistake ignorance as malice, guys. I was a few bites into eating my salad, and there was one particularly interesting shiny piece of lettuce. I stabbed it with my fork. This is no piece of lettuce. This is a wing and body of a huge dead grasshopper. My salad. I flung my fork across the room. I will return. I went to a local Mexican restaurant, ordered our food, and sat there for damn near 2 hours, and it never came. I asked the waitress twice where our food was, and she apologized and said it was coming. It never came, so we got up and leave. 3 employees came up to us and said they were going to call the cops on us for dying and dashing. I told those dumb since, and it's been roughly 8 or 9 years. I told the guy no shrimp. I started eating and I turned into an itchy, flaming hot Cheeto. Cheeto tells me you doesn't do alterations. You've said something to me before, idiot. Bottle awful soda fountain and bubbles fell out into my cup. Roaches and other bugs in the soda fountain are actually a common problem at the OP. So I told the worker, and they just screwed the nozzle back on when they thought I wasn't looking. Who knows what else they were? Yeah, look behind you, customer. Yes, that's right. I cleaned all of the bugs out of the machine and got it working again in the half-second where I had you looking at that streamer. The questions. Who else wants soda? I was eating at a Chinese restaurant where you order rice by the bowl. From the angle I was sitting, I saw the waiters take half uneaten bowls of rice and dumping them back into the rice cooker. My uncle has a story like this. High school job, he was working as a busboy in a local Chinese restaurant. They stiff him on the tips one week, and he says that if he doesn't get his fair share, he'll tell everyone about the rice. What's with the rice, you might ask? Well, he was instructed when bussing to take rice on the table, wipe it into the bowl of rice, and bring it back into the kitchen to be used. Table rice being reused. He used his line as the manager saying to him, "You shut up. Shut up, funny." That kind of thing. Took a bit to get a table, but not all that bad. Took 15 minutes to get a waitress to take our drink and food order, and another 25 minutes to get our drinks. After another 40 minutes of food, they weren't that busy. We said screw it, got more than enough of a couple of drinks, told the manager we weren't going to wait any longer, and left. Fast forward to about 1 a.m. My friends get out. It turns out it's the local police. The city the restaurant was in had been given a report of a dine and dash from the manager, apparently getting my friend's plate number. The manager's contention was that because we ordered, and they were in the process of cooking the food, that we were required to pay for it. After explaining the situation, the police decided to side with us, but decided that we should not return to the restaurant, and we took them up on the suggestion. We found out several months later that the diner had shifted to a pay-at-order method, even though they weren't a fast food place. They ended up closing shortly thereafter. There was a small fly, a fruit fly I think, in my fried egg. It was all fried and crispy. I wasn't even that bothered. I'm not a confrontational person, and I didn't even want a whole new meal. I just wanted a new egg. The waitress came back from the kitchen and said the chef was insisting it was a bit of herb that he uses in his cooking. You could see the legs and wings. They were so insistent that I could see it wasn't worth arguing. They were a new business as well, so you would have thought they'd want to establish a customer base. The Gaslight Bar and Grill. My wife had an allergic reaction, clearly mentioning she was allergic to eggs, and they said that a creamy substance on the side was cream cheese, but it was mayo. 15 minutes later, she was intubated in the emergency room. Nope, never going there again. Anyway, the restaurant closed last year. The little brownie mix packet was the little brownie. What's that? It's just an extra flavor. Really absolutely texture. All of our customers love it. They lost a lawsuit over stealing a server's tips. Best pancakes, stuffed French toast, and breakfast skillets in my life. I couldn't do it after that. We went to the Old Country Buffet a long time ago, and my dad got a hot dog that turned out to be moldy. We haven't gone back. I worked at this place for one day. It was a deli type of place. I had 5 years kitchen experience and needed the work in my small town. Within 5 minutes, I was questioning their sanitary disposition with unregulated temperatures, improper disposal methods, and general disregard for cleanliness. After a half hour, I told myself I needed the money, I could look past it, and do my best to make improvements over time. Then came the French fries that broke the hours back. Their fryer, they dumped a basket of fries in it. When it came out, they filled with sludge. Over the deliciousness of the fries, so that it said, yes, it's the way. Only further question, I found out they were the recipe changed. Well, it's working there on Twitter with the help of he said, okay. I used to go to a local Mexican restaurant so much that I could go with my name and make my friend. She was flirty and made a deal with the waiter that she'd go on a date. When we left, she said she wasn't going on that date. We could never return to that restaurant. Local breakfast place in my hometown that I went to as a kid. Ordered a Belgian waffle and it comes out dark brown and crunchy. I complained that it was burnt and they sent it back to make a new one. About 5 minutes later, they returned with a new waffle. Except it wasn't new, it had bite marks. Rusty business. And hey, the section I bit out had butter on it. They'd walked in the back, turned the waffle over, and thought no one would notice. When this took place, I was about 7. I refused to go back to the restaurant for well over a decade. But they remained open. It's a small town and a local business, so maybe that's not surprising. About a year ago, I went back in and was pleasantly surprised with my experience. My waitress was also the new manager, and she was sweet as could be. Had no issues with the service, and when my food came out, it was delicious. I still only ordered the pancakes, though. I mean, if the restaurant lasts that long, it's a fair assumption that the same people who committed the offense had probably moved on, and that it wasn't so consistently awful that all its customers had abandoned it. Good save, breakfast place. Super hipster pancake place in Portland. Long waits for brunch, was dragged there on a date. 2-hour wait for frickin' pancakes. And when we finally got in, after getting a single mimosa, the power goes down. Their response? make everyone pay for what they'd ordered, not even received, and give beyond-the-line tickets to people still in line, but nothing but a hearty frick you to the diners. Never again. During college, I caught the Chinese food restaurant's employees sneezing in the food. They saw me see it from far away and walked into the back. I told everyone that I knew. Went to a local Mexican place and got a burrito. Took a bite in and found glass. Gracias. Found a bunch of eaten chicken wing bones in my appetizer basket. They just dropped a new piece of paper over them and filled it up with onions. I pointed it out to the manager, then declined to get my appetizer for free and walked out. They bring out food after I order it. Send it back. I hear the microwave ding. They bring it out and still hold the sensor. Didn't show up for 15 minutes. Then it took another 25 minutes for the 3 beers we wanted to drink. We ordered food at the same time, and those came out 20 minutes after the beers, so 45 minutes after. Sitting down to having food on our table, it was 1 hour. The food was bland and barely warm. The waitress never showed up again to offer us a refill. We had to flag another server to get our check. They then refused to split a 3-top check, despite never stating as much or showing that anywhere. On the way out, I went to complain to a manager. Some staff member faked being management, and another staffer told us it won't make any difference to me when I pointed out that I worked in hospitality in the county, and this experience was beyond unacceptable. A snide comment from the waiter about it not making any difference struck a nerve. I checked in thousands of guests from that point until I stopped working in hospitality. Every one of those guests I explicitly told not to go to that restaurant. On top of that, I moved to Breck and lived there for 2 years. I approach people on the street looking at the outdoor menu outside of Kenosha and dissuade them away. I also was working as a sales position intermittently during this time, and I told the same story to all guests I interacted with. But I didn't make any difference, right? Mexican restaurant I've never been to before. Me and 2 friends go in, wait for a while by the door while being stared at by the staff, and eventually we seat ourselves. A boy no older than 10 years old greets us after a minute, and I asked for water. He said they didn't have water. They didn't have water. They didn't have water. They didn't have water. A cockroach ran out of the basket of tortilla chips, and the waitress's response was, "Oh, that happens sometimes." Family-owned restaurant didn't honor us an advance reservation for Valentine's Day, but instead overbooked and didn't seat us until an hour later. Then proceeded to give us silverware and ask us for drinks 20 minutes after that. We just said not to bother and left. We were completely ignored. It was a small, family-owned Mexican restaurant that was extremely popular. We'd been there many times. We were the only people sitting in one waitress's section. We watched her as she stood there talking to the busboys and cooks, in plain view of our table. We had to walk up to her to ask her to take our order and go up again to ask for another margarita. We then had to go up and ask for the check. It was the only time I didn't leave a tip somewhere. I have no idea what we did to her. The other waitress in a different section was actually doing her job and she had a full section. The only thing I can think of is it was the end of her shift and she didn't care. I still remember clearly when we went to the restaurant with Dan Boo-Boos. I was just enjoying my pho when I felt something hard on my tongue. I pulled it out of my mouth and it was a bitten off toenail. Never after that place again. They literally asked if I wanted another bowl. Which, you think I want another bowl off West? This one might not have any toenails. That's seriously gross. In what universe doesn't the manager just go in and scream at the chef when that happens? Actually, no, I get it. Chefs are scary. Welcome, one and all, to my Valentine's nightmare. My fiancé and I went to a popular local-owned seafood restaurant. Because we knew it would get packed, we arrived pretty early. I ordered a rum and coke, and my significant other ordered a Sprite because he was driving. The waitress brought me a rum and coke, but brought him a 7 and 7. We explained the mistake to the waitress, and I told her not to worry about it, and I'd drink the 7 and 7, and to please bring us Sprites. When she brought her meals, she brought me the rum. She apologized, and I assumed went to reorder my meal. I ordered crab legs. 20 minutes go by, and my fiancé is finished eating, and we're just waiting. The waitress never returned to our table. She didn't come by to refill his Sprite, or tell me my food was on its way. Nothing. I finally decided this is just crazy, and I flagged her down and asked her to please cancel my order and get us our check. I explained that we'd pay for all the drinks and the food that my fiancé ate, but I wasn't paying for the food that I ordered and never received. About 5 minutes later, she comes back to our table crying her eyes out. I mean, really sobbing. Her manager told us that she had to pay for our meal. My fiancé told her, no, we'll pay for what we ate and drank. Please go get your manager. The manager came to our table with my food. At this point, I'm not eating. I just want to get out of there. I decline the food and ask for our bill. The manager storms off with the plate of food. He comes back. We're on the second floor of the restaurant, and he just stands on the other side of the room. The waitress is waiting on customers, but still sniffling. My fiancé walks up to the manager and asks for our bill. Tells him that we don't want the waitress to pay for our food and drinks, and that we don't have any problem paying for what we have. The manager then starts loudly yelling at him. Mind you, this is in an area with many people. He's telling him that we planned this and that we did this on purpose to get a free meal out of him. My significant other is a big dude and doesn't take crap from anyone, but I was proud of him. He just turned around and left. I'm sure that poor waitress ended up paying for our food and drinks, but they wouldn't give us the bill. I ended up eating peanut butter and jelly for dinner that night. I've had many things go wrong in restaurants, but none of them have stopped me from going to a place again. I have very low standards. I was at a macaroni grill. I felt something on my leg, then swatted at my jeans. Went to the bathroom and found nothing, but returned and saw there was a crushed roach under the table. Basically, I crushed it against my jeans and it had fallen off out of the jeans afterwards. I told the waitress who just offered a free dessert. It wasn't angry, I just joked about it. Afterwards, I didn't think that location. It was our favourite bar. We used to live down the road from it. Had our first date there. It was incredible. Back 25 years ago, we got engaged with the same money. We went for the first time in months. The menu has changed drastically. The management has changed. Almost none of the servers recognised us. Most of the staff had left. We tried to give it a go, but the food was awful. They even changed plates. I realised what we had was gone. Steak and Shake South of Houston. Went in and the staff didn't do something with a crap, but whatever. It was delicious. So I noticed the whole just a little multicolored, nasty. Sorry, we want something else. I used a manager to charge us and give us a problem. But you used no chance of the problem. Taking the 7 freak out. I've screwed up organising a get-together for my best friend who's moving away. I decide to call the number that had phoned me earlier. Then the restaurant telephone right next to us starts to ring. The guy who said I had no booking picks up. He notices it's me, but decides to pretend he thinks I'm another customer calling in. It feels like a scene from Fawlty Towers. I'm on the phone to him and standing right next to him. Hello, I'm standing right beside you. I have a booking. I've got an email confirmation, and you also called me today. You just pretended this wasn't your number, and now you answered it right in front of me. I'm pretty sure I'm not booked over the road, but I kind of wish that I was now. There was hair baked into my quesadilla. Not a hair, an amount of hair. Like, enough that I was concerned for the health of the chef. My wife is Celia, so we're really intense. We had a gluten-free menu. It lists chicken and waffles. She orders it, takes a few bites, comments that it's the best gluten-free waffle she's ever tasted, then starts to feel sick. Asks the waiter, "Oh, the waffle isn't gluten-free, just the chicken." When I was 3, my parents and I were incidents, and when the waiter brought out drinks, he spilled them all over. All 3 of us had gotten soda, so I was sticky. This in itself wasn't too bad. When my parents got the check, we realised they'd charged us for 2 sets of drinks, one of which was the ones that were spilled on. When my dad asked the waiter about this, he said it was only fair. This is the only time I've heard about my dad not tipping. Skeptics. Insane conspiracies do you actually believe in? The anti-dandruff shampoos temporarily get rid of dandruff, but somehow dry your scalp out even more over time, so that it worsens your dandruff when you stop using it. So I thought that I had dandruff for years, and always used Head and Shoulders or other related dandruff shampoos. Nothing really worked. One day my friend says, "Are you sure you have dandruff and not just dry scalp?" I thought they were the same thing, so I did some Googling. Turns out, if you have dry scalp, dandruff shampoos make it worse. Just to check, I stopped using dandruff shampoos and started doing things to treat dry scalp. My, quote, dandruff went away after like 20 years of healing ones. I've just gone to a dentist and asked them what this called the incidents. Dandruff on dry scalp suffer as you want. You would also be scalp. The biggest thing I did was wash my hair properly. After 2 decades of struggling with this is what fixed it, so you can imagine how irritating it is. Since I do have really thick hair, using a hairdryer helps a lot versus air drying. I still have some problems with weather changes, but it's not an everyday issue like it was. I stay away from all medicated shampoos and to keep things in. Now let's find a way to fix my face. Normally, area for people face killing is testing new policy aircraft. The US government now works to maintain the mystery around the base in order to maintain the focus of the conspiracy theorist community and to distract them from the actual things going on elsewhere. Many people will contend that Area 51 is just an Air Force base. It's testing most certainly benefits them that people attribute it to alien research, as it means they aren't looking harder at what they're actively working on, and thus people want to develop counters to their new tools of warfare. Dr. Kelly, a WMD weapons expert, was murdered by the British government in 2003. I remember this happening. It was weird. The guy was demonized in most of the press for spreading misinformation, and then his self-deletion was all over the papers. And the next day, a couple of reports of mysterious men in suits disappearing from the scene, and then those witnesses were hurriedly silenced. A very public inquiry was launched, which ruled the death as a self-deletion. Afterwards, the medical records were sealed at the time, although the results of the inquest were later released in 2010. Medical experts have since requested whether he removed himself, and of course, we now know that he was right to question the 45-minute launch of WMDs in Iraq. I'm convinced in 50 years we'll discover he died for nothing, no one will care, but at the time his death squashed any powerful voices claiming Blair was wrong to push ahead with the Iraq war. I think that aliens know we're here and potentially visit the Earth from time to time. Now, While there's definitely life on other planets, just think statistically about how many other planets there are. It's gotta happen more than once, right? I did used to seriously doubt that aliens ever came here. It just doesn't make much sense. The main problem I saw is that there would be no logical motive for aliens to visit us, but not want any direct contact. That's like going to a party around the outside. Yeah, not only go to someone else on the internet and out there and tribes in the Amazon rainforest, never contact the inside. It's actually suggesting it's very San Francisco politics that wanted, among other things, to figure out a solution for the rent increases that were pricing long-time residents out of the city. Helping members of the board of supervisors like Diane Feinstein, quite liberal by national standards, but were firmly in the pocket of real estate developers. When Dan White quit his post as a member of the board, it meant that they lost one of their most pro-business members, and since Moscone was going to get to appoint White's successor, they'd end up with someone who was really strong on the anti-gentrification side instead, since the board was already closely split in city politics. Real estate developers and the police association had meetings where they tried to offer Dan White various things if he'd try to get his old job back. There were former police officers who were among Dan White's strongest supporters, so he agreed, and Moscone appeared to be considering it initially. And jammed this idea up. After this, White shot Milk and Moscone. Diane Feinstein replaced Moscone as mayor, and he was transitioned moderates to the empty seats on the police. Who was well liked by the gay community, now hated by his own rank and file, was fired. Dan White was given 7 years in jail for a double murder and served 5, and today, a one-bedroom apartment in San Francisco rents about $3.5 grand a month. There isn't enough evidence to really accuse anyone of anything, yet it's breathtaking how all of these big power players seemed to get what they wanted because of the actions of a local. I'm a fan of the Lost Cause movement. The idea that the Russians were cutting a lot of corners to be the first in space, so Yuri Gagarin wasn't the first man in space, just the first to make it back alive. The BBC brought on Chris Evans to host the new Top Gear, knowing full well that everyone would hate him. Then, once they replaced him with someone better for the next season, people would compare the new host, Chris Evans, to not Jeremy Clarkson, so people would like the new Top Gear. It's similar to the new Coke conspiracy theory, the theory that Coca-Cola wanted to change the sugar to corn syrup to its profits. Notice, Jets, despite this, they introduced the Coke. Upon entering the market, they were able to flush the original sugar-based Coke. Rejected, expected, which gave them the opportunity to, quote, listen to their customers and introduce price. Now made customers for choice and slug. Coca-Cola also got a large amount of publicity out of this, helped cement affinity.
For you, with a big enough, your world in blue, every day. You wanna play awesome, wanna play. If you wanna play them, write it down. Don't like such a thing, please, I want to play. As a no God, that's a done for you. That's a big enough. I can set your whole world in two. If you want to play, just subscribe. If you want to play, stay alive. If you want to play, just subscribe. I will see you soon. Find it just 17, the 17, the 17. Oh, what the place?
It's very possible that we shot down Flight 93. I was in the Air Force from 08 to 14 as a crew chef. I met multiple people who were stationed at Langley AFB in Washington, D.C. that said we definitely scrambled F-16s that day from the base, and some of them came back with less armament than they took off with. It's horrible to think we could do this, but it does make sense. 2 planes have hit the towers, 1 on the Pentagon, and now that you've got a plane that's not responding to any callbacks, what do you do? Again, it's horrible, but in my opinion, that plane has got to come down. If all this is true, though, the skeptic in me is surprised at the length at which the government has gone with the stories of cell phone calls, heroics, the movie, and other things. And yeah, I understand Langley is not geographically located in DC, but given its vicinity in the Langley is commonly referred to as the tip of the sphere, and most of the Air Force's technical intelligence is based here. As I said, I am, for the most part, a skeptic of the possibility of this. This is what I believe the question called for, and I'm just saying that out of all of the conspiracies out there, this is one I'm not as quick to dismiss due to personal references that I've encountered. While I do currently own tinfoil in my household, none of it is in any form of headgear, and I'd like to confirm I've had no run-ins with any secret government agencies as of yet. I'll keep you posted. My current level of concern may rise given how this Trump thing plays out. The lip balm temporarily makes your lips feel moisturized and soft, but dries out your lips over time, so you end up buying more. Keep hydrated, everyone. It's a great way to prevent chapped lips. 2 liters a day is the recommended amount, but varies based on age, weight, activity levels, and other things. That Michael Jordan was suspended by the NBA for gambling, and they covered it up as his baseball era. The NBA had too much to lose from tarnishing Jordan's name. The RNG in XCOM is rigged. I know they're rookies, but what the frick was the chance of missing 4 60% shots in a row? I bet my left testy that any shot where the chance is displayed as 85% may as well be 10%. I don't care what you say. You can't convince me otherwise. And don't get me started on the dodgeball crap. Like the game needed more ways to make me want to punch a puppy. Guys, I don't want to sound like I'm wearing spoiled kids or anything, but Jesus, you can submit your own stories to feature here on the channel. The story submission link is in the description below. And if you want to listen to some vibey music in the background, check out Easy Mode, also linked below, and subscribe. I used to think that all prisons were filled with sociopaths and murderers until I started interning at one and seeing it from the inside. There's definitely something shady going on with corporations and the free labor. I'm totally convinced our criminal justice system was designed to keep slavery around. Call me paranoid, but I'm a subscriber to the idea that we're being spied on. At any moment, the NSA can tap into my camera and microphone on my phone and observe me. Not that they'd want to observe me, but I think they can do this to anyone. I don't know if this is as much a conspiracy theory as much as an unspoken fact of life these days. I mean, we know that we're being spied on all the time, and our data is myself a senator and conspiracy theorist that can be stop listening to you in an open mind. Any conspiracy theorist worth a salt knows to avoid certain trigger words. If you want some real conspiracies, they're surprisingly out in the open. The MK Ultras sound like a paranoid fantasy. I'll be happy to share thousands of FOIA documents on the subject. Data into legal illicit activities, often involving inappropriate behavior with minors, that are a reality as well. Just look at the recent investigations in the UK surrounding the Western once you start searching name titles,
Okay, yeah, let's take that and then I will fall into this hole and you'll follow me what you do, cause you just want me so every time and every time I try and every time I try, I will just stop it. Cause I know that what I do, all my fingers so good, that's all my people. Okay, so basically, yeah. Did ya? And you guys hit me again. Oh shit. Okay, now I'm one hit. Oh shit. Now I'm one hit. Oh shit. Now I'm one hit. Oh shit. Please keep me breathing for 1 minute. I know I can last a bit longer, but I don't know. Can do it comfortably. Okay, fuck. Oh, I need to go into you, okay, buddy, so will I be able to get that pizza? Okay, would I be here? Okay, pizza, you got it now, just gotta hang on. Oh, longer amount of time than I did before, come on. I'm just wasting my time, okay, buddy. We need to do this very... Don't wait! Okay, I just missed it, know the power. Am I called to you, see? What I want to be? Okay, I'm 2 hits and there's still 3 seconds left and each pizza's still on cooldowns. Maybe cooked okay and fucked. Shit. So basically, once you beat me, okay, yeah. I admit to them cooked. I am motherfucking cooked, okay?
Somewhere, and sure enough, subsequent news reports show. Verifiable things reports. I have to be a virtual double life because my friends and family view me differently if they knew the things that I believe. It doesn't matter that I could prove it to them with sources they deemed credible. They just wouldn't give me the time and willingness. In short, many horrific conspiracies are real, but they automatically suppress themselves. No shills. just narrating, because it's going to sound cheap, because it turns the narrator into the kind of person who researches these things exhaustively in his own time. I'm not saying that I'm convinced one way or the other, because the way this evidence is delivered is almost challenging for itself. If it makes a difference to you, dear viewers, the narrator would like to present the material here just as an
yeah, but 3 minutes?
rather than come off as a proponent of any of them. There is absolutely no reason for contact cases to be as large as they are, except to increase the amount of saline solution needed to cover up your contact lenses. Big saline companies are out to get us. Advanced technology is available, but for the sake of certain companies' profits, we don't get certain technologies. For example, we had a prototype electric car capable of a 250-mile range back in 1914. It's only 66 years later, and it's not even
Where'd he go? I was actually telling Dad that's insane. You telling Dad is crazy that cool kid? I expected better. Why are you telling Dad? We don't tell Dad about this cool kid. That's just not what we do. Because Sigmas don't tell Dad. Okay, you think it's more than a phase. Okay, cook it. Okay, you think it's more than a phase. Cancel the sponsor for some to cook it away. Hey, I think it's more than a phase. You're the coolest. Oh, come on. Where is our medkit? I fucking yearn for a medkit. I yearn for a medkit. Where is a medkit? What do I do? What am I supposed to do? The medkit is fucking transparent, chat. I can't do LMX with one hit. Oh, I didn't see you there. Oh, dang.
Us, and they intentionally misinform people to make the situation and the public outcry worse. This is kind of answering the opposite question, but I feel the need to share. There are people who are evidence of these buildings being brought down by controlled demolition, saying that the videos look the same as one. I think they're looking at it the wrong way. Why does controlled demolition look the way it does? Because engineers plan explosives to take advantage of the building's natural weak points. If a large building was to actually fall on its own, it would look the same because they both fail at the same weak points. There are so many conspiracies about that, but I've never seen one actually address that issue. It's not that the buildings look like a controlled demolition, but the controlled demolition looks like an actual building collapse. We just haven't had any other skyscrapers fall naturally. This face when an annoying customer to shut them down. One of my favourite stories from my brief time in customer service was when a man who called up the night after a major hurricane was screaming that his service didn't work, that he'd complained multiple times and this was the last straw. Clearly, our service sucks, and it was our fault his cable was out. He kept cutting me off and calling me rude names when I finally just interjected, "Sir, your cable isn't out because of an issue with your service. Your cable is out because a tree branch fell across the cable line." "What's that? How do I know?" "Because you live at number 78 and I live at number 75. I saw the branch fall. I'm the one who went out in the rain last night and got the branch over the street. In fact, I know you." This is a woman with too much time on her hands.
Why puts my begin? If you really think rap, I can't get the cover. I'll be wrong. This the track. I with anything. No, come on, what? Damn, why they just was. Yeah, if you say you can rap, start to keep it with that tempo. I was not a sheep, I got one in my day after. They really be sick on the instrumental. Like, damn, why are you pressing my piano? I said, damn, why are you pressing my piano? If you think that you can rap with the tempo, I've been rhyming all this shit where I'm more than another bullshit. So then he beats, just turn on the instrumental. Like, damn, why are you pressing my piano? You can rap, try to keep up with the tempo. I be rhyming all this shit while I'm running with the pistol. I can rap, but then he beats, turn on the instrumental. God damn. Oh, God. Oh, frog, yeah, come with me, you idiot. It don't tell me. Oh, come on, don't die now. The things on I want. What you got for me.
If there was a car and everyone could start it except one person, I wouldn't blame the car. Customer smoking in a supermarket in the year 2000. Staff member asks customer to stop smoking. Customer refuses. Customer escalates to me, the customer service manager at the time. I grabbed a large fire extinguisher, CO2, walked up to the customer and said, "If you don't put the cigarette out now, I'll be forced to assume you're on fire by having to call it." The customer dropped the cigarette, stamped it out with her foot, and left the store. I was working at a gas station in a very rich part of town. During a nice summer day, a prime example of the D-bag variety of the human species. Expensive.
In that booty, I'm rich, so you must do what I say, voice.
Filled with grief, which the attendant started to do. Only the guy immediately smashed the nozzle and screamed that you're too stupid to do this on your own. We're in Oregon, by the way, where you can't pump your own gas. It's a state fire law. Well, being that he's a D-bag and an idiot, the gas spills out from the nozzle. In the store where I'm working as the cashier and wants to speak to the owner, and we're going to have to pay to have his car painted, and he's not going to be paying for this. I try my best to calm the situation, but he's got a good rage going, and he doesn't want to calm down. While he's through the door, I noticed that an officer with a police department was about to come into the store to get snacks or a drink or some such. This gave me a nice idea. Sir, I'm afraid that this is a tank that you pumped it yourself, so you're going to have to pay. Cut scene of an explosion. T-Bag then asks, "So what exactly do you think you would do if I just go out and get in my car and leave?" "Thank you. Good Lord for time." He says this at full bellow right as the officer walks in the door. My response? Well, personally, I can't do much, but the nice Westerland police officer standing behind you will probably arrest you for second-degree theft. The D-bag turns around to see the officer with a very predatory smile on his face, nodding vigorously. Yeah, the guy shuts up, pays, never saw him again. I used to be a low-level manager in a call center. It paid the bills. Anyway, a customer had called us and been perfectly pleasant, giving us his account details and business got correct. At the end of the call, the guys as such. He got extremely aggressive with my member of staff. At this point, she got up in the air.
He sat in the chair, so we tables. It was called Silver, various other names, and then we got down and ran for nothing. I see what was impressive on the website. I can walk down there and everyone was wild silver. So it's a good thing you made they dress details first there. Make sure the handbook is somewhere. Yeah, we basically found that.
Charitably call a gentleman rather than a revolting sack of crap, almost certainly would have been as personal and threatening with his language if it was a man on the phone in the first place. What a member. Not me, but my former boss. I used to work in an old family-owned gas station and garage in a small town in butt-frick nowhere. Since it was family-owned and 90% of the business came from regulars who had either business accounts or got their families' cars fixed in the shop and had the generation on both sides. As such, the random passers-by needed gas on their way to or from stores on either side of the town. Business. The gas station side of the business made up maybe 2% of the business, and of that, maybe 0.5% was non-regulars. So my boss couldn't give less of a crap about some of the annoying customers who came in. One day, we got particularly soft. This was during the summer a few years ago, so the gas was very high compared to the rest of the year. She was convinced that our pumps were purposely calibrated incorrectly so that less gas was pumped. Her proof was that she always got X amount in gas, and it always went to a certain percentage in her tank. Well, we'd just had them recalibrated for the year and knew it was all good. She kept complaining to me about it, and being a high schooler, I didn't give a flying frick. But I kept up appearances and was polite, and I kept telling her we'd just had them calibrated. She didn't care and kept complaining. Eventually, she asked for the manager. Well, the office was right behind the counter, and my boss was in there listening the whole time. As soon as she asked for him, he simply yelled, "F off!" And that was about it. I shrugged at her, and she left. My boss was awesome, jokes like that. I used to work in a deli restaurant, and this lady comes in and orders her food. I told her that everything should come out all right, and that I'll double check for her to make sure her order would be correct. She insisted on getting lots of honey mustard on her sandwich. I typed in extra honey mustard on the ticket. Sure enough, it was out, there seemed to be empty on. When I delivered it, she wanted to look at the extra honey mustard I was. Told me to freaking get a ton more honey mustard for her. I go to the back of the store, I get an entire gallon of yellow shit with on the table. My friends were laughing that she was complained to the manager. It's hilarious and actually not an offense. Since the Taco Bell once, I was waiting to pass and see a small slow this yellow so I was complaining that there was too much in it. I leaned over her and said, "That looks like 89 cents to me." She slowed down. Because of this, all of us raised to the region here on the channel. So I said, "She likes the social club." There's also some white music in the background. So, subscribe. With extra onions. I mean, a lot of extra onions. And no matter how many I was in, she always came into the store and complained there weren't enough. So, this was in the middle of the afternoon, so we didn't normally care. However, one day we had 4 buses full of US Army enlistees at the store at the same time. Convoys of chartered buses would go by periodically, and they usually stopped at our store because the bus drivers knew my boss. Now, these people were always the nicest, most respectful people you could possibly imagine, which was a welcome change after dealing with jerks all day. They always ordered a ton of food, all king size, tons of double and triple whoppers, and the whole 9 yards. My boss would always have me give them the senior discount of 15% off, and they enjoyed that immensely, because it said they were getting a senior discount on their receipts. Anyways, nice as they were, they strained our store to the limit because they ordered so much food. So we were almost literally going never end tops to keep up. And then, this annoying lady comes in to drive-thru. My boss just told us to grab 2 handfuls of onions and a sandwich, but she didn't need a seed on the word smart behind. I could barely close the window to the onions, but I managed to gave it. Now remember, the store is completely full of US Army and Marines. They probably not have fast food sandwiches. They were going to get their first assignments. The line was a so master away past all of these people, shoving them away and comes in screaming that she didn't have enough. My boss is annoyed, so she takes the sandwich, hands it to me, and tells me to be looking around and I love it. I have food up my toes. Soldiers all dying, laughing at her. One of the best days of my high school life. Again. In short, jerk woman complains about having 2 free onions. One of my sandwiches in the face. It's laughed at by troops. It's somewhat unreal sandwiches, but honestly, it's always good to hear about bags. Sticker on the package. My bag boy or manager to run to the deli to get it priced because we were super busy outside of the tickets and setting up my scale. Looks like it's almost £1, so let's say $2.77. Does that sound fair? Again, to me, it's miscellaneous item. Oh, that doesn't sound fair. She yelled, you need to get that price. I just put my hand behind her as I found a bag boy to run to get the price. The manager came by to see what the promotion was about. The situation, explained why I made the decision I made, and the manager, of course, spoke to the old lady, which we laughed about later, and she accepted the apology. We then waited for what seemed like an eternity of eye contact avoidance and thumb twiddling. The bag boy came back and handed me the pork. I smirked and showed her the price. $2.78. I would have saved you a penny. The man behind her chortled. Never saw her again. I stopped to get gas today, and while talking with the cashier, I mentioned that she was probably tired of people yelling at her about the price of gas, but that since she's the one standing there, she probably gets it a lot. She said that every day someone complains to her like she can do something about it. A guy then came in and demanded, "Why the hell is gas $3.76 a gallon?" Without missing a beat, she said, "Because it went down 10 cents this morning." He just looked at her, paid, and left. I worked in electronics at Target. Over at guest service, I saw a woman with her teenage daughter heatedly speaking to the guy at the counter. After a few minutes, he pointed over at me in electronics. The woman's head whirled round practically toward me. The rest of her body realigned with her head, and she stomped in my direction. When she reached the counter, I pleasantly asked, "How can I help you?" She slammed her receipt, which gets the control of the counter. "I paid $55 for this, and I can only return it to people." He asked, "I see your receipt." She nodded, but enough. "See, $55. "Yeah, I see that," I said. "You bought this last week when the store gave away a $15 gift certificate with the controller." "So what? You'll shop at Target again, right?" I asked. "Not if this isn't resolved." She noticed that her daughter next to her was bounced. Hypothetically, if there wasn't an issue, I'm guessing you would, and you would use this gift card on your future purchase. If we let you return this controller for $55, then you would have a free $15. That is why the return price is $15 less. I can do the return for you over here if you don't want to go back to guest service. I didn't want to return it, I just wanted to know why the return price was so much less, he said. She picked up her controller and receipts and began to read off. Her daughter, clearly ashamed of her mother, thanked me and her mother out. I used to work in Best Buy services. It was sort of like Geek Squad before Geek Squad, and it dealt with everything like TVs and VCRs and junk. One day, we had a guy come in and complain about his little video camera not working. I agreed to take all it is, even though there's not much I can do but send it back to the manufacturer thing. It'll take some time, but that was 90% of the problem we had in services. Naturally, this guy wants a new one on the spot, and he starts getting really loud about it. So I called the manager because I can't even take a week in Best Buy without getting manager approval, and while I'm waiting for the manager to come up, I'm still tinkering with the camera in the back. I get some tools out, and hey, look, I got the thing open for the guy. A minute or so later, I come back out when the manager gets there. The manager is talking to the guy as I'm in the computer on the counter. I jump in and say, hey, I don't think we should give this guy any news. The guy gives me dagger eyes, and the manager is like, oh, why's that? I then play the footage of what is unmistakably someone running around a pool, dropping the camera which couples into said pool. It's taken out the tape, but it was recorded to the memory stick. The guy takes his camera and quietly leaves the store. It was worth 2 years of an otherwise pretty annoying job. Busted. I'm just sad that he likely took this immediately to another store, sans the memory stick, but at least he wasted his time for a bit longer. I used to work in a pawn shop. We got lots of jewelry in, and a lot of times the person bringing the jewelry would have no idea that some of their stuff was fake. 9 times out of 10, they'd get annoyed and leave their stuff with us to be thrown out. My co-worker accidentally left a really gaudy but fake gold chain out on the desk one day. A customer came in, noticed the chain, and told us we'd better put it away before someone stole it. I was about to, but then I realized I blew myself up. He ended up leaving the chain on the desk and would casually watch me as they came into the business. We caught a number of people trying to steal the chain. One guy in particular was talking us up and gradually pulling the chain off the counter. When he had successfully pocketed it, he left the store sure enough, the back of the place the guy came back in the chain was strong, like substance. Sometimes this meant exaggerating a patient's treatment plan and scaring them into unnecessary, expensive surgeries, like a 15-year-old getting a full mouth extraction and put into dentures. My comment is based on my experiences in corporate dentistry, especially asthma. There are plenty of excellent dentists who work at these chains, you just have to find them. My issue is mostly with the business model and the high-pressure salespeople with no medical backgrounds whatsoever. Just do your research, ask questions, get everything in writing, and be proactive. If you do these things, you'll be fine. I don't want my comment to scare anyone away from going to the dentist, which is an important thing to do. I once worked for a dentist who told us that everyone who walked in the doors had gum disease. Everyone. And the assistants would compete to see who could get the most people to compete to an oral cancer screening. If you're 5 years old and you've never smoked a cigarette or drunk alcohol, great. You absolutely need an oral cancer screening because Shannon really wants that Starbucks gift card. Shady billing and insurance claims, straight up fraud, charges tacked onto bills that were discussed, like a $150 electric toothbrush that you never agreed to purchasing. I ran far away from that place and never looked back. Offer is the same amount. It's not to a shady business. Straight up smackhead, so I would let it. Year after year, they find work in shops. Always check the portfolio and talk to the artist, and if they seem sketchy or disinterested, you nope the frick right out of there. Even the portfolio might not be a good indicator. I went to what I thought was a reputable shop. Read Yelp and Google reviews. It was recommended by my ex, who had some gorgeous work on her. I was new to the area, and he had great work, so I went with it. Went in, and the guy at the counter set me up with a tattooist. The guy had a great portfolio, and we set up a date for me to come in the following day. It was a smaller piece, pretty simple. Got it done, and it looked great. For about a minute. It took a couple of days, but that thing began to heal, and it was a blown-out piece of trash afterwards. I went back to the shop, and the guy that set me up with the tattoo guy was there. I showed him and complained, and he's like, yep, Friday was his last day. He let him go because we've been getting that complaint. So those motherfuckers knew that he was bad, and didn't care, and put me into an appointment without even knowing it was his last day. That's the one tattoo I'm kind of regretting. Credit card. Piece of cake next to the supplement industry. Marketing and advertising. We can track and buy so much data on people to directly place specific ads. I can track the locations of cell phones and send ads based on the places you've physically been, even if it isn't directly related to my business. This may seem fairly obvious, but the entire real estate industry is awash in overseas and laundered money in the United States, to the point that several markets would totally crash without these buyers. Everyone knows, and no one cares. Olive oil. The amount of counterfeit olive oil is insanely higher than you think. You have a higher chance of buying olive oil that's been cut than buying real olive oil. Education. People are constantly trying to find ways to line their pockets instead of focusing on the students. And I say this while working with the us over $2,000. Child confession. My brother was there and he registered the law. Over there, got zero information expenses, no stress account to do. Much easier to spend money on the real event. Not bound by spiritual. Frugal lifestyle, or want to benefit scientific research, look into non-transplant.
But you're not though, you're not doing it because you're in Sigma. Fuck! Oof.
Body donation. And I guess thanks to the honourable funeral industry folks who aren't down today. It was really eye-opening, to say the least. But I never sat down and considered the significant environmental implications of the clothes we buy, and it definitely got me thinking more about my personal consumer habits. There's a reason why you can get those dirty screen print t-shirts for about $7, and those reasons are scary. You can submit your own stories. Like, use it in the background, check out or something to subscribe. This is a really common position. One of the video games of this actually frustrating instead of because the single copy was done without this not terribly popular, but not quickly. Certainly, one is explained about the point of view is still on the variables.com. A great many of our titles upgrading a user and then offering a slightly more enjoyable experience. Something around it. This tactic has proven to be a more profitable model than actually offering entertainment, to the point where some companies take very careful steps to ensure that their games don't accidentally end up being fun. That sounds like satire, I know, but it's actually true. As an example, EA released a mobile Sims game, and holy crap, it was bad. The game was fun to play. The only hang-up was that everything your sim did took real-life hours to do. Meaning, if I wanted to do a certain mission that required me to, say, send my sim to work, I would literally send him to work and wait 8 real-life hours for him to come back. But you could speed it up using real money. The breaking point was when they had special events that allowed me to get an exclusive accessory from my town that I really wanted. I started doing the missions required to get it, and right when I had one mission left, I ran out of time. The event ended. No friggin' joke. You had to devote all of your free time to this crappy friggin' game to get your reward, and if you so much as went an hour without making your sim do the next task, you were screwed unless you coughed up $5 to make Bob the Sim take the rest of the game together with next. And kind of thought it Secondly, in that game, I'm still unsure whether the whole real-life simulator aspect of the game is a strength or just really annoying. But yes, to return to the main point, mobile games have been cheap, nasty scams ever since they just cut away from the model where all they did was show you ads. Collections. Yes, I know most people assume they're shady, but I don't think most people know just how shady. There are clear laws in the US defining what a collections agency can and can't do, how often they can contact you, what sort of pressure they can apply, what they can threaten you with, among other things. These laws are not ambiguous, they leave it to yes, no red agency quietly time. Right next to pennies for the dollar to pass instruction limitations. It's not collectivism. It's
Busy. I'll get it in a sec when I'm not busy.
Stress, shame, debt, no way to pay it off. Sounds that's harassed. You can use this works enough to find that. What happens is that the trainers is a fire that violates the insurance. In essence, it's just a cost of doing business. It's a full price to pay for the cash they're putting in. And if they really get slammed, they can just close up shop and reopen under a different name. It's a really sleazy business with a lot of bad actors. I don't know about most people, but the home security industry is pretty shady. Shades? No, really. Most of the branded ones are owned by a single company called Luxottica. It's a monopoly. Worse, they own a crap ton of prescription frames as well. Imagine if you needed a wheelchair, but the only people who made wheelchairs were Ferrari, and they started at 40 grand. Specifically in the US and sporadically in other countries, academia. Yes, it does function like an industry, again, specifically in the US, and it can get really, really damn shady. Public research-oriented universities are mostly above board, but the further you drift away from that, the shadier it gets. Diploma mills are a well-known phenomenon, but there are also plenty of legitimate or semi-legitimate establishments offering continuing education, distance education diplomas that are both expensive and not really worth the paper they're written on. Labor relations at most universities, including reputable ones, are okay, but becoming increasingly messed up.
So you can take them out. That's why you and then they can activate like the punch. If you do
US agricultural industry. It's illegal to record videos or take pictures in slaughterhouses. Yet in the UK, it's required by law. Our sales, clients, computers, and car dealerships. The salespeople don't pay attention to their work at the time of the customer. And over here, they're talking so much crap about all their customers to the point where it's sad. It seems like they're always trying to rip them off. Blood donation centers are shady as source. A guy who's a former branch manager here. One Blood and other blood buses are super shady. Employees are trained that every donor is a hero and they're saving lives. Horse training. Blood is sold overseas to weird companies. A pint of blood a donor donated is worth several $100 to them. Donor gets a t-shirt printed by the billions of pennies on the dollar. Blood centers make beggar money, lie to donors, and treat employees like animals. I wonder if this is better monitored in other countries outside the United States. Because the narrator knows a lot of people who give blood. Yes, okay. You wouldn't believe how shady the clickbait industry is. Okay, before I actually get into this topic, I need to clarify. Yes, there's additional Okay, so in last place we got one window. I don't know what it is about this game, so it doesn't sit right with me. Okay, it's by any means, it just gets outperformed by the other windows. Second place we got
man who started it all, the OG dumpster. He's pretty good. This game. I see myself using this one. I like the first game. I like the stab in his pretty face. He just gets beat out by one more better dumb scar skin. Okay, so first place, the best dumb scar skin in Forsaken is none other than Doom. I don't know what it is about this skin that I like so much. I really like his other skin. And the way his tongue is hanging out of his pumpkin head is just really funny to me. Honestly, I love using this skin. In this short, we're ranking every single player on this Minecraft server has superpowers. As you can probably imagine, these powers change everything about how the game is played. Oh my god, you just saw me up! And that's why for the next 7 days, I'm going to try every superpower possible. The best type of superhero are What was that? No, yes, I believe those big powers. What the? Server. Story starts the me having no teammates. So it was perfect when I got a message. Yo, help my team get the mace. A player named Sharu asked me if I could help him and his team get the only mace when the server expands. So seeing that if I helped them get the server's only mace, they would have no choice but to invite me to their overpowered team, I decided to help. Started going to a village to get a map approaching, and after getting the map, you got it. Well, honey, this server's only mace. Let's start. And just keep it up. Just, we have to go there. So we are on the edge of border. It's still in the bottom right. What? Both me and Sharu's team were really confused. First, we thought it just hit the outside of the world. That really didn't make sense. 7,000 blocks away. So I asked to see the map
I'll send you to hell. Hey, nation. I've been corrupted by the energy. Stop running. Stop running. Take this! Stop running! Get ready for some scary spikes! Stop running!
That is true. He probably has like none. They're probably like, I have dice on. Cut it. No problem. Chat. Nice.
I will do this for you. I will win this for you. And no matter how much it breaks my bones and hurts my heart, I will do this for you. So you only have 1 HP, you only have 1 HP, but I will do this for you. Win this for you. Okay, so I win this for you. No matter how it fuck. Why did I try to block? Why did I even try? Why did I fucking try?
Last chance!
It's to me. The next few days, maybe. It was a completely different fight. And us leaving things were killed. But some of us were very rude. By far, this was covered by yeah,
But even if this is the last thing that I do, to take me with the army to the sea. There's one last thing through. So that's just will happen and skip away. Okay, so be honest, see you everything that goes. A single shot at me, winning this fight. We're gonna say goodnight to you tonight. So goodbye, bye. Good night, tonight, that's all I'm gonna say. That's it. So, buddy, if you wait, then you're gonna see the answer to the question that you say. I'm at my peak every time I'm late. You know, I'm to get to almost okay. Oh, yo, what's up? Long time no see. I definitely know who the fuck you are. Wendy, I'm sorry, but I don't remember you. Okay. My stamina is insane. It's over! If you have me added, then yeah. I guess you can if you have me added. I am 2 hit. 1 hit with the warp speed override. I am not lasting a full minute, chat. I'm so insanely cold, and you don't even understand how cold I am. You know, I've done that before, but I'm already in the middle of the chase. Of course it works that! Okay, yeah, I'm fucked. Okay, no charge gives me slowness, but I don't care. I mean, I do care. There was 3 seconds left? I thought there was still 50. That's why I used my charge. There was 3 seconds left.
I didn't know how to feel about that. A few days passed.
I thought there was still like 50.
It seemed like he had officially team morale being so low.
far so I go back to be there. I just shoot it there.
Sam had lost the face, and in the span of a few days, we had gone from being one of the best and most powerful teams on the server to being one of the weakest. Nothing of interest really happened, except so I asked my team if I could give more points, and they said no to me. I don't know. I guess I felt bad for him or something. So eventually, I went behind my team's back. Thinking back, it's crazy how making that one decision would change everything. After I gave him the course, we both got on to grind together. Do you want to know all the effects I dug it out once and started the villager breeder. It didn't feel good going behind my team's back, but because of it, I got a strong ally. I felt anyway, I could rely on. I would need more people like that. Something so bad.
Why can't I pick it up?
Need to destroy the entire server. Flame frags started being used.
Flame frags guest week. For his first challenge, the immortal demon will have to get a kill using every single primary effect. Each kill on a different player. Receiving this automatically.
Oh shit, if they didn't have me. I added them, did they add me back though?
Flame frags.
Oh, please no, please no. Oh, yes they did. They got kicked out too.
Entire year without dying once on a server where everyone was trying to hunt him down. Just joined our server with his only goal being to get a kill with every primary effect. You see, on the server, every effect is separated into two different categories. One being secondary effects that are easy to craft and not very strong, and
That's
two being
very
primary effects
interesting.
that are incredibly overpowered. And Flame's goal was to get one kill with all 8 of the primary effects. So I locked on, thinking it wasn't going to be that hard to stop Flame frags. I mean, it was the entire server versus one. Oh, yeah, we're cooked. Only a squid, flame frags, and arch damage. All on one team, but we still did have numbers on them. So we all met up, and for some reason, we started making a little base.
Okay, that's not like building out.
I have maps
For the foundations, but it's not building the foundations.
I got those.
Okay.
Go get shot.
Go get shot.
Nice. They try to jump it from the skies, they'll
Oh,
die.
Exactly.
This is a peak hustle, bro.
But after it was all done, we all got together to take a screenshot with it.
Wait, what do we call this? For what? What do we call it? No. Full tracks about going. Actually, 4 tracks, bro. Actually, 4 tracks. Can we stand like up at the front, please? Like, I like it so sick. Actually, 5.
Oh my gosh, I cooked.
Look at how tough we can all be at the front, bro. Look at this. Axo, you're everything, bro.
Axo,
Sam, get in here. It's a 1v1. It's a 1v1, bro.
Let's go,
Even though it was kinda dumb, this was some of the most fun I had on the server. And to make it better, everyone on my original team was back, all united on under the threat of flame frags. But by then, it had been about an hour since flame frags joined. It was weird that nothing really happened yet. And just as we were about to go out looking for this happened.
Still burning, but come on, Axel, let's go.
They have milestone 1, 2, 3, and 4 specifically? Why? Why is every single one? I get it. Caseydoezzstuff every single one, but it should have just moved it. Maybe you would have picked that then. That's dumb. Since when was this skin out? I don't remember that.
I wanted to call you basically. I was thinking about what was happening with Max though.
Most simply yes. Most simply yes. Most simply yes.
Not stupid. So what I think he's doing is he's turning all the
Okay.
Master
1, 2, 3. Master 4, no the fucking way. Yeah.
I'm not sure if that is actually if it is.
The only thing Sonic likes this game for is to see all the milestones of it.
Yeah,
They don't have many juice cards here, do they? Oh, they don't have a single one of the milestones, Jesus. Let me see 2 time milestones. Milestone 1, accurate, but how do they get the bandages on? But oh, so they're just cheating. Milestone 2, accurate. One time. Where's
the perfect opportunity came up when I got added to a group chat.
Where's milestone 3? Milestone 3, kind of accurate, but it's not that terrible. Milestone 4, kind of super ultra accurate. And where's? Yeah! Yes! That one's Sigma. Handmade. Oh, you know, it does have the ones that I wanted. The, stylized ones. Why did he have a bandage on his arm there? What happened? What happened to Blue Dude? Oh, here's, Chance. Normal John Doe. Okay. 1x1. That 1x1 cooks. All I know is you won't be able to have both this one. You won't be able to have that shoulder chain, that arm chain, and that arm chain right. Oh, and the same thing. There's a car. That's just milestone 2, basically. Pretty Princess, I actually almost had that exact avatar, you know? I love that Caseydoezzstuff. That cooks. I need that. Noob, that cooks. All of these cook. Asia. Quite simple, but I guess, yeah, it cooks, I guess. Yeah, that's, muscle for this. What happened to his face? Is his blood fucking eruption? What is going on? What is going on, guys? Let's see the milestones. Milestone 1, milestone 2, milestone 3, milestone 4. There you go. Milestone 1, milestone 2, milestone 3, milestone 4. Okay. That was for these guys. Milestone 1, milestone 2, milestone 3, milestone 4. Evan.
Teamed up to fight the big bad of this era. Things were just like how they used to be, which was pretty much perfect. Just as everything was great, fun again.
There's no milestones. I don't know. It just lost on milestone 1, milestone 2, milestone 3, milestone 4. Yeah. Milestone 1, milestone 2, milestone 3. Milestone 2, I mean, falling. I'm joking. Anyway, so these W's. W's.
We are so far away, it's not funny.
I don't like how bulky that shoulder thing is. And then last thing, lesson 2, lesson 3, lesson 4. Yourself. What's his name? Yeah, blah 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 blah. Script builder. No, that demon guy. Annihilation. Eggs Benedict. Santa. Roaches. Who the fuck is this? Cool kid? Cool kid? What? Cool kid? What the actual hell is Cool Kid doing here? He's not supposed to be here, Cool Kid. Hey, you're not supposed to be here, Cool Kid. You idiot. Cool Kid's such an idiot. Yeah. was unexpected. You come undone. Yeah? 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 I wish we shouted yeah 12 times. Yeah, 12 times. Yeah, I did. No, actually, I think it was about 7. No, because I had like 9 seconds. Yeah, it takes me a second to say. Alright. Jesus Christ, it's the same thing. 12 is 3 away. Why might have been 12? All I know is it was more than 7 seconds. A cop. You know, my friend hasn't even answered me a single time today. How was he? No, because he hasn't even answered. That's not nice.
Say what you want about like our team size, but like could you create a bigger squad of losers? Our team is big, everyone on their team is big. It's really that's the difference. That's tough.
After a bit of waiting, we decided someone should join their VC. Since they were just sitting there in a public one to try and get into, and Sharu volunteered himself. So he left and didn't come back or message anyone for a while, which made some people think that he might be betraying. But I trusted him. He was my teammate from the start after all. It didn't really seem like he would have any reason to betray. But after a bit more waiting, he joined back and said this.
They were saying like when they escaped the guys, they were saying like Sound God. No, huh? It has social Sean camping. They were saying like losers aren't being really contributors. It's like we took that easily. Let's just head to the end. I kind of want to join back because I told them that I had to go pay my parents' work. Do it. Yeah,
Now, I do believe Arch did say this, but it was still weird that he would just say it out of the blue, you know? But I could be just overthinking it, and it seemed like I was when EXP Chan said this.
I'll just go into the stronghold. I just saw him. Yes. See? Oh yeah.
Oh my god! This is shot an arrow! He shot an arrow! Oh my god! It didn't work though.
Hey, scoot your crosshair a little bit more.
I got Ender, the weakest player, the strongest effect, but it wasn't over yet.
Did we go through I'm at 1.2? No, I don't, bro.
I didn't have a spawn point, meaning that when I went through the end portal, I would just be at spawn. Since Squid knew that, he would just be sitting there waiting to one-shot me with the mace. But Storms insisted it would be fine.
You're good. Switch your link. Don't worry, good. No, I promise you're good. I promise you are fine. We're staying in the end.
Why would we stay in the end?
Why would we stay in the end? Sean, stay in the
Let
end.
Sean
No,
go
we
in
don't
the
take
end.
Just have a reason to go to spawn, bro.
Overall, I decided to stay in the end, because if they did come to fight us, I could just go through the end portal, and then no one would be at spawn, and I could get out scot-free. But just in case something went wrong, Shrew came to the end too, so all we could do was wait, and wait we did, until...
Sean needs to be next to the... Everyone shut up. Let's go towards the Sean. He's the Sean. Arch here. Sean, you can also just leave. Sean,
Sean, leave.